Hello, BookTube. I had to do a quick check to make sure what day of the week it is. It's been pure chaos here at Hyde Cottage. Walls being ripped apart, drills sounding all day long, dust and dirt and debris everywhere, wires everywhere. And it was only last night that I realized that the work that I have been subjected to in the last 10 days it was just a prelude. It was all of that, as horrible as it was just a prelude. Next week is going to be 10 times worse. So I've been discombobulated as to what kind of a day it is. Even the few anchors of my life have kept me sane. One of those anchors, of course, is care. Right? You have someone who's in your care. Frida is not a baby, and she's not a frail senior citizen, but she is in my care. She needs me as much as I need her, and that helps a lot to ground me. Absolutely, it does. But the one thing that hasn't been grounding me in these last few days has been BookTube. I've been able to make any videos. It's just been too chaotic, and by the time it's not chaotic anymore, by the time I'm 100% sure of my surroundings, it has been too late to make a video. Much less a barrage of videos. So I am hoping that I have turned a corner on that. It took me a bit to acclimate. I was mainly thinking about the bean and also paid work. And that distracted me long enough so that I didn't buckle down and actually look at the processes of what's going on around me. And now that I have analyzed those processes, I've seen ways they can be altered. With money, or with patience, or with a little innovation. So I don't think I will be prevented from making BookTube videos again. No matter how bad this process gets, it looks like July is going to be really bad. In terms of living here, it looks like that's going to be really bad. The place is going to be unrecognizable. But you don't have to see it. I do, but you don't. So I thought I would make some videos today. Try to anyway. And revert to some staples. Some staples, not only of my channel, but of BookTube. I did a mail haul of mail that has accumulated. Some mail. There's a ton of mail that has come. I did a mail haul of some that has accumulated. And I want to do a Friday Reads as well. And like I said, I had to check the calendar to see whether or not it was Friday. But I also had to check the calendar to see what day of the month it is. And it turns out that June has a week left. June is in a week, June will be over and we'll be into July. So, once I noticed that, this morning, I realized, even this morning, I was already formulating a plan to make videos. So I was thinking, well, okay, if I do a Friday Reads, I've been reading a lot. In the last 10 days, I've been reading a lot. An enormous amount. Because when I'm reading, the world is gone. Completely. The only thing that has the only cable that has any kind of connection to me is Frida's well-being. If she's okay, then I'm gone. No matter what. You could have a jackhammer right next to my head and I wouldn't notice and I wouldn't care. So I've been reading an enormous amount in that time. But I thought this morning that my Friday read should take the shape of the books, the June releases that I haven't read yet. Quite a few, of course. There are tens of thousands of June releases that I haven't read yet. But I try not to concentrate on that. As some of you might be new to the channel, I read mostly new releases. And I also set a remit for myself to read all of the major new releases from all of the major traditional publishing houses in America in the 15 or 16 genres that I like to read. So I'm not a completist. I'm not going looking for new releases in philosophy or self-help or business or anything like that. But the 15 or 16 genres that I like to read that I think are the 15 or 16 genres that most people like to read. I try to do a representative amount of reading in those genres. It's not enough, of course. There's no way to do that. But I think I come closer than anyone else reading in English. And whether or not I do, I have a blast. And so I looked over my list, and I looked over some of the ebooks that I have, and I made a Friday Reads of of some titles that I haven't got to yet, that I want to get to, and I've got them on the tablet here. And the first one is for the gays. Got to have something for the gays. This is by Ryan O'Connell, and it's called Just by Looking at Him, with a cover by an artist who just got a book of his own last year, with an adroit placement of a novel. As far as I can tell from what little I remember about the synopsis of this thing, it's straight up autofiction about an author who about a main character who has some sort of malady and also a drug addiction issues, who falls in love and tries to have a life of his own and that sort of thing. I'm intrigued to see if it's if it has any layers other than self-evident autofiction. I would hope that it does. We shall see. I wonder, can I do this over here? Okay, I can, yes. And that way you can see both the bean and the books. Okay, all right, good. Then we'll move on to the next one. This is World War II history. I haven't got to it yet. I love this author. The author is Craig Simmons, who's done quite a few books that I like. And this is his new book, Nimitz at War, about Admiral Nimitz, who had a whole class of naval vessels named after him. And he was a pivotal kind of thinker in the naval battle, in the naval side of America in World War II. He had a good biography about 10 years ago, and a couple of really good. This author has written about Nimitz quite a bit. He was a colorful character, an old salt, a right royal SOB, and something of a nautical genius. Not as much as I think his fans make him out to be, but the subject interests me anyway, and even if it didn't, I would still read Craig Simons on World War II. I don't think I can get rid of these indicia at the bottom of the screen. I just noticed that. This is the Lenovo. It's not an iPad Mini. Can't find the iPad Mini. I have one iPad Mini that's old. I have no idea what it is. It's disappeared in the midst of all this chaos. So if you have an iPad Mini that you aren't using, find its power cord and send it to me. Factory reset it. I don't want to look at your porn. And then send it to me. I don't care how old it is. I can still make loving use of it. But this next one is American history. It's by Jefferson Morley, and it's called Scorpion's Dance. And it's about Nixon. It's about Watergate. But it puts, if I remember correctly, it puts a lot of emphasis on the head of the CIA under Nixon. And the might involve declassified stuff. I love all of the censored lines on the cover. That's kind of a neat design. So we shall see. Okay, then this next one is Harlequin. It's a Harlequin romance. It's a Harlequin intrigue. It's for June on the Range, which is a great BookTube event. It was created by Michael K. Vaughan. It's all about Westerns, celebrating Westerns. And I had all sorts of high plans for the last week of June on the Range. We are in the last week of June on the Range. I had all sorts of ambitious plans. And then the roofs and walls and windows and floorboards and Wi-Fi and wires of my house started getting ripped to pieces. And that sort of threw the highfalutin plans out of whack. So I think my final week of June on the Range will be just reading whatever. I've read traditional Westerns. I've read the next generation of traditional Westerns. Maybe now read all sorts of contemporary stuff. But anyway, this is Dolores Fawson. This is called Sheriff in the Saddle. And I really wouldn't care what it was about. This author is sort of an auto read for me when it comes to romance novels. She's just terrific. She centers on contemporary Western stories. I'll do this and squeeze it under the wire as a justification on June on the Range. But there'll be plenty of other Westerns that I'll read as well. And I don't want to leave romance off this list. Okay. All right. Then we have an oddity here. I don't know. I hope this is last of its kind. This is called War and Peace, but it's not that War and Peace. It's an anthology of the speeches and writings of Bishop Fulton Sheen. Can you make that out? No? War and Peace? It's an anthology of Fulton Sheen. here he's called Archbishop. When he was a TV star, he was Bishop. And I don't know how to talk about Bishop Sheen to any of you who don't know who he was. And quite a few of you won't know who he was because he was a TV phenomenon. But it was your grandparents' generation. It was 70 years ago, 60 years ago. He's a difficult figure to summarize for a generation that doesn't know, that has nothing to do with him. He would stand in front of the camera, first for years and years in black and white, and then in color, in full bishop's regalia, which made him look, as many, many children watching thought at the time, like Dracula. Long red cape, all sorts of drapery and whatnot, and not incidentally, also no small resemblance in manner, attitude, and voice to Dracula either. And in addition to that, a figure of almost unadulterated pure evil. He's nevertheless on the track to be a saint. I believe he's been beatified. I think he's on track to be a saint in the Catholic Church. All of America tuned in to Bishop Sheen on TV. He was in primetime, and all of America tuned in to him. He very often trounced major properties elsewhere. The Lone Ranger, I Love Lucy. He very often trounced them in the ratings. And almost never said anything that wasn't absolutely horrifying. Just the ravenous, fanged maw of violent, torch-wielding Christian theocracy, only restrained but wanting so bad to reach right through the gigantic 25-inch TV screen and take control of your life. And this is a collection of, I guess, his writings, maybe even transcripts of some of those very same TV performances. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know what kind of introduction it's going to have. How can you make an introduction about Bishop Sheen in 2022? I guess in 2024 and 2026 it will be much easier to do. But right now we're still a pluralistic society. We shall see. I don't know what to expect with this book, but I couldn't pass it up. And then this next one is by Caitlin Tiffany. I'm hoping that's a pseudonym. And it's called Everything I Need, I Get From You. How Fangirls Created the Internet as We Know It. Everything I need, I get from you. This is early internet, and it's not. I would bet that it's not early internet so much as it is early YouTube. And it deals with an awkward fact. It's definitely provable. It's been tested over and over again. It happens over and over again. It is still absolutely governing as a fact of social media, especially YouTube, which is that almost all of the hits come if you get on the radar of teenage girls. First person to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube got them because they were all teenage girls. Second person that got 1 million subscribers on YouTube got them because they were all teenage girls. How many of you have been watching YouTube long enough to remember Charlie Is So Cool Like? Right? Or Alex Day, or you name it. And it still happens. It absolutely still happens. I 100% guarantee you that 90% of the audience for Jack Edwards are teenage girls. And I've even seen some booktubers who think, well, I can do that. I can sell my soul to appeal to the most flighty demographic of them all. Nevertheless, flighty demographic or not, if they show up in 10 million strong, they will make a phenomenon out of you. They'll make you independently wealthy for the rest of your life. They'll get you invited to talk shows and panels or the judging committee of book prizes. And they still are a power behind all of that. And not just YouTube, but also TikTok and a bunch of other places. So I'd be very, very interested in seeing what this author makes of this phenomenon. I hope that the author digs down deep and maybe has talked to some of these people. Maybe talked to some of the original trailblazers who, still getting passive income from their YouTube videos 10, 15 years later. They're still getting passive income from those videos, but maybe they'd be willing to talk about it. Talk about, encounters that they've had. Anyway, we shall see. Anything connected with social media, especially YouTube, I will now read anything. It's fascinating to me. Then we have something by John Matthews. Don't really know what to make of this. This is The Great Book of King Arthur and His Knights of the Round Table. And it is, I gather, an elaborate retelling of King Arthur. Is that? Yeah, look, there you go. That gets rid of the indicia. This is an elaborate retelling of King Arthur based on a lot of original sources and cross-referenced with a lot of mytho-history and whatnot. I'm always up for this kind of thing. I'm always up for any exploration of this particular character, this particular mythos. I just don't know what to expect from this book. It has an introduction by Neil Gaiman, but that doesn't tell us much because of the 350,000 books that have been published in the United States so far in 2022, 312,000 of them have had introductions by Neil Gaiman. So I have no idea. You know, he wrote the introduction to my slow cooker rice recipe book. So I don't think that lends any particular prestige. But I'll be interested to see what the author's going to do with this. Definitely, it's a June release, and you know I want to cover as many June releases as I can. This next one, for instance, I will cover it, but it won't really be in the way of reading. There'll be a lot of reading to do, but it won't be narrative front to back reading. This is by Gregory Paul, and it is the Princeton Field Guide to Pterosaurs. They've done over 100 of these field guides, and quite a few of them are to animals that you will never see. You don't actually need a field guide for them. Oh, and that's what these are. These flying creatures that were in the latest Jurassic Park movie. They're typically in any children's dinosaur plastic toy set. But we learn a lot more about them all the time. So this will have a ton of stuff in it that I don't know. And I'm always up for dinosaurs. This next one is something we saw on this channel. I haven't got to it yet. It's by Lydia Yuknovich, and it's called Thrust. And if I remember correctly, it's the story of a young woman who has the superpower of time traveling connected to significant objects. So she doesn't get in a machine to do it, and she can't just go anywhere on her own. She needs an object to do it. And I guess travels along that object's timeline. But it's been garnering lots and lots of praise since we saw the print copy on this channel, but I haven't got to it yet. And then we can finish up with a Steve book, which it's a small community, but even so, some members of that community have garnered more of my respect than others. And all of the people that in that community who've garnered my respect have praised this thing. So I need to get to it. It's by Michael Mays, and it's called Valley of the Apes, The Search for Sasquatch in Area X. It's a Sasquatch book. It's the word of mouth that I've heard from Sasquatch researchers and experts is that it doesn't engage in any of the stupid hyper-theatrical hysterics that so many Sasquatch books do. That it's really just a frustrated primatology. That the impression that other people I know who've read this have gotten is the tone is I am a primatologist, I am an anthropologist, I am an animal researcher, and I am putting down on the page everything that I know, but I'm very frustrated because I know that the animal that I want to study has not yet been found. Which is an attitude that I think not enough Sasquatch hopefuls and researchers adopt. Most of them take on a tone of unwarranted certainty, right? If such a thing exists, a giant anthropoid species that has eluded identification or discovery for 1,000 years in the Pacific Northwest and other dense jungles all around the world. If such a subject is frustrating enough without you going out, catching one glimpse or a thrown rock and thinking, okay, I know everything about this creature when you don't. We shall see. This could disappoint. I read pretty much every Bigfoot book that comes out. This could be one of the many, many disappointments, but I'll give it a try. If it's intelligently done, that would be wonderful. And there you go. That is a Friday Reads. There have been quite a bit of other stuff, quite a bit of other reading that I've done, including quite a bit of reading for June on the Range. But those are some some books that I have yet to do. I need to do those in the remainder of June. There's quite a few other June books that I need to get to, including quite a few I need to reread. But I thought that would do at least. I didn't want to, for my reach to exceed my grasp. I'm still getting back to making videos, so I didn't want to make a list of 100 books. I don't know how many books I'm going to read in the next week. I'd be willing to bet it will be quite a bit. I think my year-end total readings are going to benefit in... I don't know if you can hear that. That's the bee snoring. I think my year-end totals for books read is going to benefit enormously from this stupid construction. I really do. But anyway, that's a Friday read. Do any of those seem interesting to you? Feel free to let me know. And also, the age-old tradition of Friday reads applies even though I've been gone for a few days, which is feel free to tell me what you're reading this Friday. Also, what your plans are for the rest of June. Do you have reading plans for the rest of June? Are they discrete? Are you going to change them out in July, whether you're done with them or not? I always love nosy stuff like that. Just think it's fascinating how we read, not just what we read. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.